Hello everyone and welcome back. Before we get on with today's video, let me say big thank you for everyone who is supporting this channel by watching, liking and commenting. You guys are awesome. The 7000 series of AMD GPUs were made on the new GCN 1.0 architecture and on a smaller 28nm process node. Today we are checking the Radeon HD 7870. Released in March 2012 for $349, this card has 2GB of GDDR5 memory clocked at 1200 MHz and its core clocked at 1 GHz. My cards, yes, I bought two of these for £99 or about $134, are both made by Asus and of my favourite DirectShoot 2 variant. Can this new architecture deliver improved performance? Let's find out, but first, a closer look at the card itself. It's a much smaller and a lighter than the HD 6970 we looked at a couple of weeks back. I like the simple, nice design which is dominated by those aggressive looking heat pipes. You will need two 6-pin power connectors, and this card offers great range of ports including full-size DisplayPort, a HDMI and two DVIs. No backplate means it's very easy to take apart as there are only 4 spring-loaded screws holding the cooler, not to forget the 2 screws at the top of the card's I/O bracket. The PCB looks much simpler and far less overkill. One may use the word lightweight here, same applies to the GPU cooler. Those heat pipes look mean and should have no problem of cooling this GPU's core. The thermal paste turns solid as you can see. I may need to deploy some advanced tools to get rid of it. The presence of isopropyl alcohol on my desk means it's scrubbing time. With all of the old paste gone, time to apply some fresh MX4 and put the card back together. We start off in Heaven benchmark where the single card pushed 875 points, and I saw some 1722 points when running a pair of them in Crossfire. I must say this was incredible, nearly perfect scaling. Looking at the graph, we see the 7870 beats last year's single GPU top dog, the HD 6970, by nearly 100 points. The 6990 gets blown away by a pair of 7870s even more, widening the gap to nearly 350 points. Not to mention being far less efficient. Let's play some games and start with Test Drive Unlimited 2. Here, the 7870 delivered nearly 70 FPS on average. In Crossfire, we saw 135 FPS on average. I was really amazed how nicely the GPU scaled in this game. In Far Cry 3 we saw average of 59 FPS and some 85 in Crossfire. The GPU utilization was only okay to good, but I didn't notice any stutters and the gameplay was very smooth. Dying Light was running nicely on the 7870 and I saw 52 FPS on average. However, the Crossfire did not impress me, and we only saw 2 FPS increase, which is not great. Back in the streets of Los Santos, GTA 5 ran really well, nearly 80 FPS on average using the high graphics preset. Crossfire also ran nicely, pushing the average to 115 FPS. Witcher 3 is next on the list. 27 FPS on average is not great, but I must say the game finally no longer feels like a stuttering mess. Crossfire pushed the average to nearly 34 FPS. Dirt Rally ran great with an average of 58 FPS. Adding the second car pushed the average to 77 FPS. Cruising the streets of GTA 4, I was really impressed with 80 FPS on average, especially after the terrible performance that we saw with the 6000 series. Crossfire, however, did not improve much and only pushed the average to 97 FPS. Fallout 4 was running great on the 7870 and I saw 45 FPS on average. A disaster struck when I attempted to run Crossfire and we dropped the average to just 41 FPS. Well, not impressive, is it? Metro 2033 Redux, our typical run through the tunnel. Now the average was just over 12 FPS. Crossfire nearly doubled the average to 22 FPS, but this title still remains unplayable at these settings. The last game I've tested today was Battlefield 3. Here, the 7870 achieved 56 FPS on average. The Crossfire ran really well and nearly doubled the frames up to 111. I was really happy with the performance in this game. So then, let's summarize the HD 7870. One word, or two, I'm impressed. The new architecture and a smaller node meant we're not only seeing great performance improvements, but also a reduced power consumption when compared to last generation, and further reducing the need to use noisy coolers, which are all much welcome changes. Let's not forget to also highlight the overall improvements to Crossfire, which worked a lot better more often. Still, this card was not cheap and it was aimed at the more demanding gamers. In today's market, you can purchase a second-hand HD 7870 for around £50 to £70 or 70 to 90 USD, which is not the worst value for money if I'm honest. I only wish it came with more VRAM. This will run most titles at 60 FPS, obviously with reduced details. I would not hesitate to go as far as to recommend this card as a temporary solution before your new GPU gets in stock. Well, that is if it ever does. But that is it for this video. As ever, if you ever owned or still own one, be sure to let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, it is really appreciated. And thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.